Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's 7 o'clock here in the UK, various times around the world. Sorry, anyone who's in Sydney and Australia, it's going to be about 6 in the morning there, I think. Thank you for joining us anyway if you're online. Just going to start off with a quick promo. This is a Fusion 2.5 show reel, just a demo of some of the awesome things that have been hashtag made with Fusion. So again, that's some of the awesome stuff that's already been made with Fusion. Hopefully one day you'll be adding your own title there. So we've got an interview coming up for Ministry of Truth 1984. I'm going to show you a trailer first, and hopefully we'll get Konstantin on the line, and I'll be back with him. So that's a trailer for Ministry of Truth 1984. I keep saying 1983, hence I'm having to look at my notes down there, sorry. So we've got Konstantin on the line. I hope I pronounced that properly. I'm going to switch over now. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, thank you for joining us on the stream. You're coming from Moldova tonight, is it?
Yeah, I'm from Ukraine, but now I live in Moldova because of war in our country, you know.
So you've had a bit of a journey there recently.
Yep. I left my country in 2024 after 2 years after war started, because it was hard to live in those conditions.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you're safe and you're with us tonight. So we're going to start having a look at your awesome game. The graphics are absolutely fantastic. You're getting some great comments in the stream about that too. So First of all, though, tell us how long you've actually been using Fusion.
I'm using Fusion I started use it in 2023.
Okay, quite recent then.
Yeah, quite recently for my first game called Broken Life.
Mhm.
It's a point and click adventure. Early access on Steam, and a year ago I started Ministry of Truth because I quite burned out of Broken Life, and I took part in a global game jam and find the team, and so we are here now with a great project, but I will also finish Broken Life this year, I hope.
Cool. It's a lot on your plate, but it's good sometimes to switch up your projects and come back, hopefully with a refreshed brain that you can carry on and overcome the burnout. So tell us about the inspiration for this game and the graphical style in particular. I mean, it's a really very solid aesthetic. It's got a certain feel. What was your inspiration?
My inspiration was George Orwell novel, 1984. It's a dystopian novel about USA, and which conquered half of the world, and Russia conquered another half of the world, and China also has such a little bit part of it. And so these three mega countries fight each other, and all of them are totalitarian, authoritarian, and I read the book, and when I finished it, in several days started the contest. It was a global game jam, but they made a contest also with USAID. And the second part, the second contest was called Control Alt Disinfo. It was about developing games about disinformation and how in modern world you should fight the propaganda, and how you should recognize it, and so on. So we thought that this is cool idea, and after my fresh finishing the book. Sorry, my English is very bad.
Oh, you're doing
And
great.
yeah. So after I finished the book, I thought that my fresh memories are nice for inspiration. So our project has been born. We have three permanent team team members.
Okay.
It's me. I make everything in Fusion and also game design. Anastasia, also Ukrainian. She lives now in Czech Republic.
Okay.
She makes sounds and voice acting, and finds people who will make voice acting for male characters, and also Mikola. He lives now in Ukraine, and he is our artist.
Okay.
The most what you see in the game, which was made by him. Something in by drawing, something in Blender with use 3D models to
Right.
make 2D rendering,
Mhm.
and so on.
So at the moment, we're just seeing the top left corner of your frame there in the frame editor.
Top left corner.
Yeah.
I have a very big screen,
Ah.
so I can change my resolution
Sure.
to 9020, and so wait a sec, and you will see better it. Does it better now?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So my wife gifted me a big screen.
Right.
Yeah, it's very comfortable to work on it, and but some issues with Teams sharing,
Sure.
screen sharing, and so
Teams
yeah.
is not great at the best of times for capturing video, as we found earlier. So anyway, what would you like to show us first of all then?
For now, we have a playtest demo, which continues about 20-25 minutes. And you can play it now on our Steam page. Just apply on playtest. It's one button. And but I can show you a little bit more
Sure.
more than a little bit, some things that we didn't publish yet, but soon we will. So our game is for now, it's on the stage of final development.
Okay.
We have some small mini games which are not completed, and some stuff, but almost everything is completed now, and it will be about 2 hours of gameplay.
Okay.
So, so I can show some interesting things. And we can talk about Fusion, about its pros and cons, because it already also
Good,
has
you're
it.
preempting all my normal questions. So yes, go for it.
Yeah, so we can go there, and I will show the mini games. It's called Radio. You can see it, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so in this mini game, our game is the bundle of different mini games. We have a lot of them, different, some easy, some not. A lot of dialogues and story and animated series, comics, so on. So this is one of our mini games. I made it. I made it not so long ago, so it was quite hard for me because I'm not a programmer. I doesn't have any programming skills, but I like Fusion because I think in the way it, in some similar way, how it works.
Sure.
In my real life. So the problem was that Fusion doesn't allow us to, sorry, it's a lot of sound. The problem
We're not
that
actually capturing sound at the moment. It's only capturing your mic.
Oh, it's okay because it's noisy.
Good.
Okay, so we need to set the right. I can, yeah, the right radio wave to hear the radio. Yeah, but to hear the radio, yeah. But the problem was that these lines are a lot of actives,
Yeah.
because Fusion doesn't allow us to make curved lines.
Sure.
Yeah, so I thought I thought about the design, and I found the solution. So the solution is the next one. So each, oh sorry, why it doesn't work? Oh, look. Each one of the wave parts are just sprites that
Oh,
look
wow.
like
Okay.
this. And I
That's very
made
cool.
a big mathematic how to use it, how to make them with amplifying sinus and cosinus, cosine, sinus,
Sure.
cosine movements and so on. So this was pretty hard for me, but I like some hard decisions because they learn. You can learn something new
Yeah.
with them. So
Well, it
so
looks
I have
amazing, and
this.
I thought that was just going to be some animations stored in active objects, so that's very impressive.
Yeah, another one. Sometimes I use already done work. This is block puzzle. We call it 15 in our country, but this one is a lighter version with 9 blocks.
Right.
And what you need is to align.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, align these blocks, and when I made it, I used a tutorial made like 10 years ago. Someone posted it. So if you make some cool games with ClickTeam, it's okay to use video tutorials because you should learn somehow something new,
Sure.
and this is one of the ways.
Do you remember which tutorial you used for that one?
It was 15 puzzle. It was on the ClickTeam site. Oh, tutorials. I will send you a link because it's pretty hard for me
Sure,
to
sure.
find it. It was about 3 years ago in
Right.
2023. I made this puzzle, and this is the second version of it. Sometimes I use something new, something creative. The problem with the games usually is the localization. So we have this game is it's a poem. You should write the poem, and it's pretty simple. You just choose some words, but if you change language to Chinese, okay, to Chinese, so this will be the problem because not every language has its same sentence building. So in some languages, it's verbs on the start, in some on the end, and it's quite hard. So when you develop the game, you should think about such things, and you should make your configs, configurational files, which should understand the logic of this.
So how have you done this then? Have you used any objects to store different languages, or have you got some other method?
I use any object. This is my Fusion has the best thing. I think that it was the update when they added the frame, parent frame.
Yeah.
And I use it for, I split my game in a lot of different frames, and I use pop-up frame as a basic frame. So I don't need to duplicate some logic in every frame of some similar things.
Yeah.
For example, I have dialogues, and they are located here in pop-up frame and dialog layer, and no matter what frame I am, they are loaded from this frame. So this is useful. So let's like this. Wait, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, like this. So she So no matter what frame, all logic, general logic, which is not which is not assigned to this frame, especially, for example, for minigame rules. It's all located here. Another one solution is to use global events editor, but I use it a lot in my Broken Life project, but in this project I don't use it a lot, only for general things such as full screen and transition between frames. Yeah. Not so time ago, I also managed how to send Google Analytics, and it was very hard but interesting. So
Don't show
the
off your
solution.
secret key there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I will change it. It's okay. So we use web query object, and we used post method. I posted on ClickTeam forum and on Reddit how to make it, and we use it to send some analytics to Google Analytics, and so I can see how players play my game, when they stuck in the game, if they didn't complete it, or how much time it was made for some mini game for them to complete. So I think that this things is very important later if you have already game and you want to make it even better, because you can see if someone has problems with your game, because if you develop your game, you develop it a lot of times you play it, and your eyes are blind for some bugs or some things. So major things that I use in developing is actives. I make some a lot of different variables for them. Flags use and some regular stuff. What should we talk about?
So I always ask people what was the thing they found most challenging about the game or project. So what did you find particularly difficult in this one?
It matters when it was. So on the start, when I just started developing them, I've lost about 2 weeks on algorithm of finding the way. Pass a algorithm. I didn't want to use any of extensions. I wanted to make it by myself, and to place it in my head and to understand it, a lot of time was wasted for this. So depending on my skills, like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and now I have different things that are complicated for me, but with the help of community, don't forget to have to go on the Discord server, to go on Reddit, and to use ClickTeam forums if you are stuck, you're stuck in somewhere, because people are very friendly and community is friendly, and sometimes they help. Sometimes they can assume what will be the solution, and you find it by yourself. And usually if I stuck somewhere and if I post somewhere, and if I found a solution, I post it later in the comments, so people which will be seeking for the similar problem will find my solution for this problem. So different things are complicated. Servers, SDO I use for controller an SDO application. Where it is somewhere. And sometimes some things here it is are complicated, some are not, depending what skills do you have. Yeah. So the core of my game is ini object. I use it a lot in different situations. So for localizations, for saves, for configs, for options, game options, and so on. Window control is nice application. It allows you to make a game look what do you want it look like on different screens.
Yeah.
Wide or not, or narrow, but it also complicated because you need to have some skills. So I will show my window control so you understand which the problem is. So here is my basic full screen option. I have two options. So the one is that I measure the monitor of the player, and depending on its size, I cut the frame width. So if the monitor size is wider than 16 to 10, it's the resolution of Steam Deck. 16 to 10 aspect ratio. So it will be using pretty not nice formula like this. And what's the formula? What it is? So the resolution of my game is 2580 to 1080. It's aspect ratio 21 and 5 to 9. Widescreen, ultra widescreen, and my game looks nice in it. So you may have this, but you need to make backgrounds to be white as much as possible.
So do you crop those then when it's a narrower screen?
Yeah, so if the screen is narrower, I crop these ears.
Right.
Ears, I call them ears, and all my game have a save zone in center, and you can play it on wide screens or on narrow screens, and it will always be looking nice. It always will be for the full screen, and it will not shrink it or expand it like
so do you keep all of the scale? Yeah. So do you keep all of the objects and like the interface within that, and then the sides, the ears as you call them, for decoration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a clever way to do it.
So it's kind of hard because I should use a camera. Camera is just an action active. It's empty active, and I use it for every screen. Here it is on the center. Here, camera. So I use it for scrolling the frame to the camera where it sits. But when I started to make this solution, I understand that some things are broken and I need to make a camera position by myself. So the center of the screen, widescreen, is 2090, but using the method of a lot of playing the game, I understood that in narrow screens this doesn't work. This doesn't work. So I need to calculate the correct camera position, and so it is. Sometimes it's hard to explain how I managed it, but I just
I can see quite clearly from that. So you've got the option to pan around your frame with that then.
yeah, so it's kind of hard sometimes, but it's okay if you have some skills test values. So if a user has, it was made by me by yesterday, because the user had the screen of 2080 to 1024. So it's pretty square, and the game was cutted too lot, and player didn't see the full page. So for this resolution, I decided to keep the resolution of 16 to 10 and just added black bars fit inside. Yeah, so sometimes I have struggled for a couple of hours or maybe days to make some solutions. I want to my game to use to be a look like, yeah, look nice, yeah. So
it's an interesting approach. So a lot of people struggle with full screen object and getting it to work quite well. And I've done it this way myself before, but haven't actually seen a lot of other users doing that. So that's been quite interesting to see this. And I think people will get a lot from having seen how you've done that.
I have a test file which has a tutorial of resolution. It's look like this. It's not the full version of my. So yeah, if you have some, if you need to implement some complex things to your game, don't make it in the game, because you can break it in some different parts. So the way I develop my game is I make some empty applications to test some things I want to test, and then when I test it, when I am satisfied, I copy them to the main game. So this was my test for the resolution. Where I tested this approach, it was pretty small.
Sorry to interrupt. People are telling me they can't see your camera. Are you able to shift the camera image to the left at all on your screen?
Image.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So
we can see you now.
I didn't expect people wanted to see me. So yes, this is the test application for the camera. You can screenshot it, and this solution will work in some kind of way. Mine is pretty more complicated, but this is the base of it. So to test something, I make this. I posted this on the Discord server, but I posted it in just Fusion branch. I've noticed that on Discord server there is also a branch with helpful files, so I will send it there too.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's here. So minimum makes it solution makes it smaller, and you see that I make it smaller, but when I when I push down my mouse mouse click, I sometimes I say that click team thinks as I. So repeat when mouse is clicked and negate. This is what I have in my mind for now. Yeah. So it shrinks the height of the to the correct stance.
Sure.
To the correct position. Yeah, so I'm sorry I didn't make some notes for this stream, but
No
I
worry,
hope...
you're doing fine, don't worry.
Okay, so another part of my work is comics. I really like to animate them because it's pretty interesting. I will maybe want something interesting. Which one? Okay, this one. So he moves, but also I use sinus movement, so it will be nice and gentle with steps. So he will pretty have some Y position difference, and so I like to make comics because it's pretty interesting for me to animate something.
It looks great. It looks really good.
Or something like this was pretty hard because I should use the mirror image, and for these comics I use the pictures and then use a frame for them. I think my Fusion will crash now. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. It's okay. I have already everything. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Just having a think.
So, yeah. So I use no. Okay. Browser close.
It might be Teams actually. I've noticed quite a few of my apps, including PaintShop Pro, crash when I've got Teams open.
Yeah. So I have comic cover, and it doesn't. I can't show it. Oh no, really bad.
It's not happy,
Okay.
is it?
Okay. No. Okay. So this is my frames over the comics, which have boundaries of what I show. So this is messy because some backgrounds they leap on each other and so on, and this object helps me. This is just a regular active. Helps me to make some boundaries for the images, and to make them look perfect. Sometimes I use order to move some things behind, in front of each other, and so on.
So can you show that cutscene now with the mask over it? Could you run that one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
In this cutscene, player recognizes that the party, and this is the government, made everyone to wear work clothes instead of everything, because it's a dystopian, authoritarian, totalitarian society, and they control everything. What you think, what you say, how do you looking, and so on. So this was just one part
So
of my
somebody's
work.
asking in the chat stream how you animated those. Have you manually animated them via the event editor, or have you developed some sort of a system to move the parts of the comic images?
I use two things to animate comics. So the first one is pass movement. Sometimes I use pass movement here, and you can see it here. So this bottle goes to the center.
Okay.
Everything of this is invisible, and when it reaches its end, it shatters on different shatters, and they go in different directions. This one. Sometimes I use math. I use math for some things, like for example, angle value.
So you've got an evented solution for each cartoon then to do what you need.
Yes, yeah. So I subtract some. I make some variables. For example, this one is for angle, and I subtract 0.4 from the angle value, and set a new angle. So this will turn the bottle in some angle.
Okay, I see. Very cool.
Yeah, sometimes this is more complicated, because sometimes I use, for example, in this cutscene, I use, I will show you, and then we'll tell. There is a rain here.
Right.
And not just a regular rain, but also with, I'm sorry, it's really loud for me.
Don't worry, we can't hear anything.
Yeah, but for me it's really loud. I think it's inobvious, but I don't want to make it, if you don't mind, without sounds. So making rain sometimes is quite hard, because it's not only to make the rain, but it's also to make it disappear. So if you make a lot of different particles, and they will chop your memory, your RAM. So I will show you here. As you can see, so here I have 180, 170 objects on scene, and I should make them destroyed. It's very important, because if I won't, they will be growing.
Sure,
the number will be growing, and at some point the game will crash. So to make it, I make some magic. Here is my rain. Sometimes I use behaviors. It's not required, but it's
it can be a nice way to keep the code separate, and when it's something like a particle that you've got lots of, it's handy to have it sort of attached to that object, I think.
Yeah, it helps me to organize.
Yeah.
So my rain is pretty simple here. So, I didn't change it here. Oh, okay. I will show you the right one. The right one. I have it in the start of my game.
Right.
And it is more upgraded here. So, how I make it? How I make it? Sorry. Oh, yeah. So always I create rain at layer 2 on some position over the screen. Then I make its position to random on the X position of the screen. So it can appear here or here or here or somewhere here. Make it scale so it can be a small drop or a big drop. And angle 12 or 13. And then there is a magic. On this screen, I have this green line. This is rain catcher. So if my rain catches this overlapping this rain catcher, it destroys its life. So when its life is 0, we create. It's why I say is 1. Okay, we create a flop. Flop for the rain, so it will the raindrop will stop and destroy it.
Right.
And at its position when it's stopped, we create a flop. And this action is also necessary because here I use subtract random 3 and it always can be 0. And so rain goes down, goes after the over the screen, and it doesn't disappear. So to disappear, we need to destroy it. We can use it here in destroy object if too far from frame, and inactivated no, because if because but this one action is double check. It's it's double check for me that my raindrop was destroyed.
Can you show that running now so we can see the effect?
Yeah.
Oh, I see the drops at the bottom. I hadn't noticed that before. That's a lovely touch. I think everyone can see that there. Yeah, it's not cropped it out. Yeah, it's a very cool effect.
Yeah, because I improved it like months ago because some players can't quit the game because of the rain.
Right.
Sometimes you can't even imagine which of part of your code creates bugs. So players can't exit the game. This one wasn't active because rain was eating all the resources.
I see. Okay. Very cool. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. It's been absolutely fascinating seeing all of that working. If anyone wants to carry on talking to you and asking questions, what's your handle in the Discord forum?
Yes, sure. My nickname on Discord forum is Ikosama. I will send a greeting message. So if you have any questions, sure. Also, I ask everyone to play our game on Steam. It's on the playtest now, and we are gathering the feedback from the players. And I've turned it off. Yeah, but we have Google Forms, and this part of creating game is was pretty comic because you can't escape my game if you don't go to the Google Forms now.
Right.
Because yeah, so if the quit is not normal, they
I
will
see. Right.
your browser will be opened, and if you use Alt F4 and or some other things, it won't let you just live without the survey.
Trapped.
Yeah, trap.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
a
very
trap.
much. And if you could pop that screen scaling example onto the Discord server as well, that would be really great. Thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'd just like to say I hope everything ends peacefully in Ukraine, and that your family and your team are all safe and things can get back to normal soon. Thank you very much again for joining us. Take care.
Thank you too. Thank you too.
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. So, very cool game indeed. Absolutely love the graphics there. Really my sort of game as well. All the puzzle elements and the mini games. Okay, we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you a couple of trailers now. So the next one is called I May Never Return. So I believe you can find that on itch.io. If you go to, let me just get my notes here, marcelocollar.itch.io, or though if I think you search IMNR and itch on Google, that will probably come up for you. So I'm going to show you another trailer now for Beneath the Ghost Kingdom. So that was Beneath the Ghost Kingdom, and you can wishlist that on Steam right now. And appropriately, we're going to do a segment next. So I'm going to make it's an old game that we released a while back called CavinDave, and similar aesthetic to what you just saw. But we released it a while back, and it was a multi-platform one. It didn't use any exotic extensions, so everyone was able to run it on any platform, including HTML5. And it had lots of cool features, including level builder, the ability to submit your levels that you created online. It has actually been offline for a while, but I managed to get it up and resurrected today. So we'll put the original game out there for people to take a look at. But over the next few streams, I'm going to rebuild the game and hopefully add a few new cool tricks and techniques to it. So I'm just going to switch over to my desktop. And oh, that is not what I wanted to show you. One moment. Excuse me, I should not have left that window open. There we go. Back to the desktop, hopefully. There we go. So I'm just going to show you the original game first. This is going to come out quite small. Let me just upscale this one. So that is 1280 by 800. And hopefully, when I run that, oh, that's not scaling. Okay, just you'll have to cope with it being slightly small there. I will, however, put that back to the original size because that looks kind of bad there. Right, so we had two modes. I had a build mode and play. So when I click play, this is actually going to go to our server and hopefully, if it's still working, retrieve a level that one of our users who played it has built along the way. So there we go. So it's just, oh, that was good. Right, apparently there are some spikes there that I need to avoid. So the aim of each level is to collect all the hearts and then get to the door here, and some evil person has put spikes there underneath the heart, so this level is impossible. So I'm going to restart that one and hopefully get a slightly less evil level. There we go. So lots of objects, springs and coins and more spikes. As you can see, I'm not brilliant at the game, which is why we have literally the same thing again. This is why we have Pablo, who's doing some awesome streams playing the games. He's a little bit less clumsy than me. I'll try one more time. So, there we go. I think those drips can kill you if I remember correctly as well. But quite a high jump rate on this one. This level is going to kill me. No, that one's not too bad. So the lava got them. Right, obviously I'm not very good at playing this, so I'll just show you the level editor instead. So I forgot we did that little nice touch with the music there. So we've got this level. It's got quite a large grid that you can fill up. I'm just scrolling that with the cursor keys at the moment. And let's see what menu options we had here. So these are the various things. We've got various tiles. I'm going to actually add in a couple of different tile sets when I remake this, but just for today's stream, I'm just going to stick with what you're already seeing here. So we've got all of these various objects, and I'm going to show you how this all gets built up. And you can obviously put your username and the level name in there. I noticed on that evil one where the spikes instantly killed you when you tried to get the heart that they had left their name off. Coward. Right, so this is just a level editor like this. We added in a cool feature where you can, let me just switch to something you can see a bit more easily there. Oh, maximum hearts, fair enough. Let's put a waterfall in. So you can drag and drop a shape of objects down to make level building a bit easier. So I'm instantly going to die if I play this, but we put in We need your... I have a feeling that's going to save to the server, so I wouldn't do that. But yeah, this is CavinDave. So I'm going to show you now. Over in this one, we're going to start building an engine up for actually building these levels. So this will be the first thing. I'm going to split this into two halves for this stream. So that's got a little bit in between. We've got a special surprise announcement. It isn't fusion free, but it is still very exciting. So make sure you stay for that. So the first thing we're going to do, I think I managed to make this one scale better. There we go. Right, that's game engine frame, however. Load up the editor one, be a bit more useful. There we go. So at the moment, it's not doing anything. You saw that object just cycling through there. It's an object that's got a representation of every thing that you can lay down in the level, and it was just running through it. Normally we would stop that so it doesn't cycle like that. I'm actually not remembering why we had that in there in the first place. Let's just take a look here and see what that was doing. Perhaps that was just an indicator. Oh, okay, it's just your indicator to show what current tool you have selected to stamp down. So let's start with that. Go to the right frame again. So we've got the control panel here already built up. I think, if I remember correctly, we did this on... Oh, there's... Oh, goodness. No, that's a lot. God, you think I'd be used to this by now. Where's the layers toolbar? Okay, there we go. So we used a lot of layers here to build up different things. So certain objects went into the far background, then near background. Gameplay layer included things like the hearts and the springs. Foreground was, I think, for showing like scores, and we had a joystick control object put over the top there. Just going to open up OBS again because I've lost my chat stream and I want to make sure I can see what everyone's saying. And then I'll dock there. Great. Let's just close that down again. So we're going to start out with a simple mechanism to calculate the grid position that the mouse is currently over. So as you can see, we've got a grid pattern stamped down already. I'm just going to open that up and remind myself what the actual size of our grid was. So we've got a quick backdrop showing a motif there, so it makes a tile, and that's 32 by 2. Okay, normal size. So in here, I'm going to set up a... Okay, well, we've got a lot of different... data was there, 32. So we've got a lot of different variables already in here. I'm probably just going to reuse them. I'm going to hopefully find one in here for what the position of the cursor is. I don't see one, so I'll just add 2 of those. So I'm going to say cursor X and cursor Y. And I'm going to just do some always stuff. So at all times while this is open, I want it to tell me what the position of the cursor actually is. So I'm going to set that global value to the X mouse, and I'm going to divide it by, because I've got that data for the tile width in a global value already, I'm going to use that width. So that gives us an integer value. So if your mouse is at, say, 20, it will divide that by 32 and give you a non-whole number, so it will round down to 0. Sometimes there are the odd occasions where it doesn't quite get it, so I'm just putting floor around that. And you have two functions, floor and ceiling. And that means that with floor, it forces to round down to the nearest whole number, and with ceiling, it forces it to round up to the next one. So we always want to be rounding down, because we want to know if you're anywhere within that square, it's that, essentially that top left coordinate is what we're looking at. So in this scenario of 20 pixels, that would give us 0. And if it went over to 33 pixels, that would be into the next square, and that would give us a 1, for example. So I'm just going to repeat that one, oops, for the Y value, and exactly the same Y mouse, and I'll take the, oh, no, height even, for that tile. So if we run that now, and if I show you the debugger, which hopefully everyone can see, you can see now the values it's actually giving us. So that is 0, 0 up there. That is 39, 0. And all the way down to 24 high. So we can use that to now place a cursor object. And let me just remind myself what we actually used for that. I think we had a flashing square somewhere, didn't we? I'll just go back to the original one and play that and see what we had. Oh, it's actually just showing the icon that you've got, sorry, the tile that you've got selected. So I'm actually going to add in a cursor object so you can see. So I'm going to make that in the foreground layer. So just an active object. And I'm going to just put some corner markers there. Hopefully those are all even. Yep. And then I'll copy that frame and make those red. Oh, wrong shortcut key. And make that a loop. So let's call that one cursor. And in this always, I can now set the position of the cursor, which will be somewhere that's hard to see. Oh, we've got search box. Keep forgetting that. Cursor, so I'm going to set the X coordinate, and we're going to use the cursor X value that we determined, and we're going to multiply that by the grid tile width. So that means that when your cursor on the X-axis is at 0, it will start at pixel 0. When it's at 1, it will start at 1 times the 32, which is stored in here. So we'll get 32, and that way you can align objects to a grid rather than just following the mouse directly, whatever pixel the mouse is at. So I'm also going to do the Y coordinate there. And so we want cursor Y multiplied by, what do we have? It's tile height. Good. So we've got a cursor shown there now. It is not lining up, and I know why. I forgot to actually set the hotspot there, didn't I? So that needs to be up at that corner so that it aligns properly with the grid. There were 2 frames, 2 hotspots. Right. Better. Right. So that's actually think it's a little bit clearer so people can see what they're doing. At some point later on, I might make the mouse pointer hide when you're placing objects, but for now, we'll get the menu working. So what we have here is a menu that's on its own layer called HUD. And I think we just have that one set. that is visible at start, so that must be scrolled out of view somehow. Just oh, okay. We've literally all of the objects in it are hidden, it looks like. So we will have probably, yeah. So we've got a qualifier in here. So we've got areas and generic 9. Okay, we'll go with areas for that. So I'm guessing if I go in here now and just do start frame and look for areas, I'm guessing that will come alive. Right. And obviously the HUD background is, nope, that's not that one. Just unlock all objects here because there we go. I wasn't able to menu box, and that one's not got a qualifier. Okay, so I'm just going to add some stuff for the menu in here. So I'm going to make another group of events to control the menu, and I'm going to say when the user clicks on an object, and the object was, that is a good question, button menu. Okay, so when user clicks with the mouse on object, left click. I absolutely love the search filter there. I would be lost without that. So when that happens, we're going to use the area, make that visible. I'm remembering now that we had some issues with the layers not fully hiding certain objects, and that's why we did multiple reappears on various things. So also, spell it right, might help. Menu box, we'll make that one reappear as well. Hopefully. Perfect. So I've obviously got that one in there. I'll just turn that off. So we've got that for testing later. So we've got the menu now. And while that's up, we need to do something to tell the system that the menu is open so that other actions can be locked. So hopefully I have a nice handy. Nope. So I normally use a value called lock, L-O-K, and it's just a nice, easy shorthand global value, and you can set that everywhere and rely on the fact that if lock is set to 1, then that means something is open, and for example, this should not then happen. So I'm going to add that in here, compare to a global value, and make sure that lock is equal to 0. Make sure you get the if events go red when you move them around the order of the conditions here, it means that they're not going to fire instantly, and you want those to be green so that it actually fires that straight away. It's like running a fast loop. Fusion jumps straight to it to make sure that clicks or scrolls are responsive and you're not waiting for other events in your event sequence to go through. It's important to remember how that works there. So we've got the menu open. Now we had a lot of data stored somewhere here in an object. Ini is for saving. It's actually it's a lot harder to do this reusing the object here. So we've got names all built into these on a string called title name. Okay. So on the original one, that was showing up up the top there. Okay, we'll replicate that. So we will do it. So when I'm going to add a second value actually into the global variables. I'm going to call it lock mode, and I'll use that so that I can set it to a number that tells me exactly what is doing at any one time. However, just so it's a little bit easier to see, I'm going to add it as a global string instead. So I'm going to call that lock mode again there, and I will set that one in this case to equal menu. And so we now know in the rest of the system what's going on, and that something is going on here. So other things like when this menu is open, you shouldn't be able to drop a tile down, or if it is and you try and drop a tile down, it closes the menu, that sort of thing. So when lock is equal to 1, and when the mode is equal to menu, we can now do a test to see if the mouse is over an object, and it will be one of these objects in here. We had area for this, didn't we? So in case anyone doesn't know what a qualifier is, it's a type of I don't want to say flagged and confuse everyone. It's a property that you can give to objects in Fusion, and for example, this particular one called area has been assigned to all of the objects in the menu, and I need to just check that's the right one first, but it means that you can make actions happen based on the qualifier, which then uses all of the objects which have that qualifier, rather than having to do a single test for each and every button, for example. So we can see this has generic 9. I'll tidy this up later. I'm actually going to add a qualifier to all of these, and I'm going to call it, pick something that's a little bit more relevant than area or generic 9. So let's go to qualifiers here and pick a better one. So I'm going to call it, adds the qualifier buttons. There's one for buttons somewhere, isn't there? There we go. So now you can see that all these objects have got the buttons qualifier on there. So now what I'm going to do is, up here is a label, and I'm going to put the name of each object into this label. So instead of doing a test for every single button, I can now use that qualifier. So I can say if the mouse is over an object, help if I do the right one, if the mouse is over an object, and I can choose buttons. So this qualifier now represents all of those buttons that I just assigned it to. So if the menu's up and that value is equal to 1, then that is over the button. We can do, just get the name of that object again. We had selection label. So we can do selection. That's that one. There we go. So we can change the alterable string of that. Now, each object, as you saw, I can't click here at the moment, but we had a string in each one of those objects that gave a label for it. So I could, obviously, if I were doing it one by one, I could go to each object and I could go into the strings and get title name out. However, because we have the buttons qualifier here, you can go in here and get that. Now, whichever button you've actually got the mouse over, it will take the data from that one. We talked in the last stream about object selection, where you narrow down objects to one or more that Fusion is working on. In this way, this is an example where the mouse pointer over the object, that actually filters it down to that one object. So when I ask for the title name string from group buttons, Fusion's already narrowed it down to just that one button. So with a bit of luck, if I run that, I may not have unhidden that string. That has no qualifiers either. So I just need to add that string here to make that reappear. So that makes the label. So we're going to make the visibility reappear. Okay, so now if I run menu, nope, something else is not right. I shall just do a test then and just set it to just as a test to see if it's actually working. It is. What have I done wrong then? Lock is. Oh, I didn't actually set lock. That would help. So people make mistakes even when they've been using this tool for goodness knows how long. I think I don't even want to work that one out. Lock is equal to 1 now. In theory, there we go. So all of that data is being drawn from each object, but using the qualifier to make it a bit easier. Now we want to add in the option to actually click on one of these and select it. So go back to the objects. I believe we also stored tile number. Okay, so each of these has got a number in it, and that we have an object up here which has all of the different parts of tile that you can put down. So they've all got an individual frame number, and this number that's already coded into each object. So that one, for example, is 7. So if we open that up, then frame 7, it matches. So that lets us set the tile cursor, and that's going to follow around inside the little flashing thing that I just made earlier, and it will allow us to set the tool, and this will then be used to stamp down a new object when you click to start building up the level with that. So we're going to do next if lock is 1, mode is menu, and the user clicks on the actual one, there we are, clicks on an object, single click, and not that option, object even. We want the, what have I done there? Not sure why that's filtering. Just to those two. Let's just replace that because I've obviously done something silly there. Mouse clicks on object, and we are choosing button. Yes, there we go. Again, that's red. We want that one to be green, so I'm moving up to the top. It still runs those tests, obviously. We could have done this in another way for the menu, having a group with these options in, which only gets activated once menu is equal to, sorry, lock mode is equal to menu, and that's on. But I'm spelling it out each step just because I think it makes it easier to see. Repetition helps you to understand what's going on there. So when that clicks, we've got to store what's actually been selected somewhere. So hopefully under here, we have somewhere, I think it might have actually been stored directly in that cursor object as it goes. Yeah, there we go. There's a selected tile value there. You'll also notice that in each object here, we had value is obstacle. That don't know if we actually used that in the end. No, we don't appear to have used that. And that was obviously something we planned to add in, which maybe we'll get to with this particular version we're making. So I'm going to copy into the tile cursor object. I'm going to set selected tile to, and I'm going to retrieve from button, which because we've clicked on it, we've now done object selection and it knows which button we've clicked on. So when I go to button and I retrieve the alterable value tile number, that's picking it from the one we clicked on. And I'm also going to make this cursor track the mouse too. So we've already set this grid thing, so I'm going to do the same for the cursor, and I can just use the flashing cursor object. I've already done that, and as you can see, that one flashed through all of the frames of the animation there, so we need to stop that. So I'm going to add in a group here, which is startup. I always structure my things like this so that you've got nice clear delineation of what's going on in any one place. So the start of the frame, we want to go to the animation and just stop that. So now if I run it, I don't know if you can see it because it's quite dark. I'm not sure why I'm pointing at my screen, because you can't see me pointing at my screen, but it's quite dark there, but it's now tracking that tile object along. So if we now here, we've got the selected tile set to the tile number, and now we can add in on that same object, we can just change the animation frame to that value that we've stored in there, selected tile. So that was the wrong button. Oh, that should still work actually. If we now open the menu and pick that, for example, you can see it's switched it over to the water tile. So I think we closed the menu once you'd clicked on it in the original. Just check, we'll replicate that same. Yes. So back to our new editor, and we're going to close down the menu. So at the moment, this is a bit cumbersome making things appear and reappear. So I'm just going to insert a new event here, and I'm going to use a fast loop. And I'm going to say on loop, and we'll call it menu show. And we'll do drop these up into here. Nope. Oops, did not control there. So we've got those options, sorry, those actions up there now, and I'm also going to duplicate that and make that hide. And yeah, you can just negate on those. Very cool. And that makes that invisible. So now, rather than having to, anytime we want to show the menu, I can drop the actions into these two groups. So instead of doing these three here, I'm going to run a fast loop. For anyone who doesn't know what fast loop is, they are absolutely one of the best things that you can learn in Fusion. So when you call a fast loop, in this case menu show, you can tell it the number of loops. I think 0 is, that's not infinite. I don't think 0 runs. -1 is an infinite number of loops. We just want one loop. Be careful if you set it to -1, or if it's 0, that's infinite, it will just lock up your program, because when you call this loop, or any loop that you create, Fusion, like I said, with when you click on a green event, like the left button here, it goes straight to those events. Fusion will stop what it's doing here, and it will jump up to the first menu show that it sees in your events, and it will run through any menu show events one by one in the order that they're laid out. So on this occasion, If I run that now, you'll see that the menu appears. And if I add in now here, if we copy this one down to where we've clicked on an item, I can now issue the menu hide. Did I call it that? Yeah. So menu, click, and it's now hidden. So one thing I will add, just while we're talking about loops, is that if you've done some object selection, and for example, if you have looked for all active objects of a certain type which have alterable value a equals to 10, and maybe it's picked 3 objects up, if you then run a loop, Fusion will actually lose the object selection there. And it's different for a for each loop. When you cycle through all of the objects, Fusion keeps those. Next stream, which is on the 20th of March, I'll go into the object selection a bit more. I wanted to do this first and have a bit of context when I talked about some more advanced things for the next stream. So back to this. So we've got the menu hidden, and you'll see that I can't then click on it again because we've still got that lock value equal to 1. So I need to also add into this one real value set lock to 0, and I will also clear the mode string as well down to nothing. And in that way, if I click here, I can now click and select another one. So now we need to start stamping down objects. So there are 2 ways that you can store the positions of objects neatly in this sort of a thing. One is to use arrays, which are structured grid-like, in this case, sets of data with an X and a Y coordinate. And then if you have multiple copies of that page of data, then Z coordinates, they go back like flipping through the pages of a math book that's got grids on it. X would be across, Y would be down, and Z would be each subsequent page. That is something I went into last year in one of the streams. I explained how arrays worked, but obviously not everyone will have seen that one, and it's something that confuses people. So I'm going to use a more simple approach, and it's the one that we used in the first incarnation of this, where whichever objects are stamped down, and they will have a unique type that we can identify. When you come to save the level, you simply go through those objects one by one, and you actually save just where it is on the grid into a text file along with which object it is. So you're saving X, Y, and then the tile number, which, if you remember, we were retrieving from these objects. And when we actually save these to the server, what the game does is it goes through and generates a big string of that information, and it chops it up with a delimiter. I think we used commas, so we did X position, comma, Y position, comma, tile number, and then we used a pipe character, like a vertical bar, just to separate those. So we were then able to cycle through those when we retrieved that data back from the server, and it meant that we were able to save these complex levels along with a few other bits of information at the start, like the username and the level name. So obviously that will come a bit later on. Right now, I'm going to just pause it there. We'll pick this up again in a little while, but I'm going to switch back to my main camera now. Just need to get OBS back up. Right, so we've got a couple of traders coming up, and then we're going to have a nice surprise announcement with an interview. So make sure you stay tuned for that. First, though, the trader is Sarcophago. I'm struggling to spell and pronounce that one. So that's ArcOfferGo. That's an open source engine which is available on the paid tier of our Reactor. And you can see that way. There's a QR code up there that you can scan, and that gets you to our Patreon page. There's lots of free examples on there as well. There's some other cool stuff on the paid tier. And hopefully my colleague Kizgiri is going to put the link up in the chat there. And I'm going to go now to the next trailer, which is, what have we got? Lovish.
Princess Suna has been taken by the Devil Lord. She must be rescued.
I will rescue you soon, Princess, and I'll keep you all to myself. I hate you, Devil Lord!
So again, that's available on our Patreon, which you can access up there, and also just put the link in the chat. And we got a question there from Rob Rule. Yes, a lot of these are open source engines. So this one, when you're on the paid tier and you download this, it's an open source engine which you can modify to your heart's content. So I'm not going to announce what this is, but our special announcement, here's a trailer telling you all about it. And when it's done, we'll jump straight into the interview with, I won't say the name, might give it away. So pretty awesome stuff. And we've got Toby, who's been developing this, and he's on the line. So we're going to switch over now, and he's going to tell us all about hacks. Toby, hello. Thanks for joining us on the stream.
No problem, Simon. Happy to be here.
Good. So obviously everyone's just seen that cool intro trailer and detailing just the outline of what the exporter does. But in your own words, tell us a little bit more about the journey and what it's going to do for people wanting to export to Linux-based platforms.
Alrighty, so first I'll just give a short backstory. This actually started a couple of years ago when I wanted to start porting games to Linux. So I had the idea of it. And I actually, in 2023, I managed to get my hands on the Flash exporter. And I noticed that there's a, well, I know that there's a library out there in hacks that made transferring over Flash code really easy, because it's basically re-implement structure of Flash on native platforms. So I saw that as a base. So I basically converted over the Flash code to this programming language known as HAX. It's a very similar language, but it's designed, from the ground up to be a multi-platform language, and so is the library used for it in its development. So about beginning of last year, I got it, a successful, prototype working, and then in late 2025, I reached out to ClickTeam, just wondered if I could use it for my projects, and I was offered to come make it for you guys, which was an amazing opportunity. And I mean, yeah, that's basically what I've been working on for the last almost half a year now. What it is, I mean, probably people saw from the trailer, but in simple terms, it allows you to export to Linux. That was, one of my highlighted features for that. But we're also planning on targeting WebGL in the browser with that.
We spoke earlier about potentially it needs testing to make sure, but if it's properly supported, this could even go to something like a Raspberry Pi potentially, couldn't it?
Yes, I would have to make sure. I remember seeing something about, I think the library I used for this has like Raspberry Pi support, but
yeah,
that would need to be confirmed.
Sure. So what's performance like then compared with a native application? And is it just as fast as any native Linux application?
Yes, because actually, that is the amazing part. It is a native Linux application. It was based on the Flash source code using a library that, as I mentioned, like re-implements Flash's API, its structure, but it's designed by nature to compile to the native format of whatever platform you're targeting. So for Linux, that would be a native Linux binary compiled from C++. So you get the performance of an actual application. You don't have to go through some kind of interpreted environment like with Adobe Flash or Java or something like that.
Cool, very cool. So do you have some examples you wanted to show to kind of show off some of these things running in the real world on Linux?
Yes. So I assume everyone can see my desktop now, right?
Yes, they can.
Alrighty. So I compiled just a couple short demos just to show certain components that this runtime has. One probably major difference people might have caught if they saw those little informational slides at the end of the trailer is that not all, but some frame transitions are supported now. So if I just pull this up here, this one has a bit of a visual glitch, but I'll debug that later. But as you can see, it uses it supports, at least frame transitions do support the background and solid color mode that you can outline in your transition settings. I also have a second one here just to show a couple of them. The full supported list of transitions is in those little slides if people want to go back into the trailer.
Yep.
But I have it here. For frames, they have backdoor, fade push, scrolling, stretch to, turn to, zoom and zoom to. I don't have a demo for all of those here, but they will be supported in the release of the in the runtime. And sure. Another one is another feature here we have are some blend modes, currently add and invert blend mode effects. RGB coefficient is supported, and there is a more limited subset of transitions supported for objects, but still supported nonetheless. And for objects, that would be fade, zoom, stretch, and stretch 2. The only caveat being it for objects, the four corners mode of stretch 1 is not supported. But yeah, the best way for people to think about this in terms of, where we started with features was effectively the Flash feature set, but then built on top of it. For example, on Flash, you only had a fade transition for objects and no frame transitions at all, which is an improvement we made here. There's also an improvement in performance because it's not running in Flash. And I also specifically overhauled parts of the code to use a component provided by OpenFL. It's called the tile map that is much faster at displaying it than the usual Flash sprite bitmap objects. Okay. So so you got performance increases, native executable, and it will work on, I think, probably most Linux systems. This is Linux Mint. It's an Ubuntu-based
Mhm.
distro, but I have tested it on Steam Deck, which is Arch-based, and it does work. We don't have a Steamworks extension for this platform yet, but the runtime itself does support running in that environment.
Cool.
Here, I think I've actually got some physics too. This one actually, I spent a little bit of time debugging a couple months ago, but it works good. I've got some magnets in here. I've got fans and ropes.
I'm just going to, at this point, give a slight caveat for anyone watching that we are holding this conversation through Microsoft Teams, and it does not stream at full frame rate. So if you're seeing any jerking, it's most likely Teams there, just so people are aware, because I've seen this and it runs a lot more smoothly than it's actually showing up in the feed.
Oh, gotcha. Well, yeah, that's a good disclaimer. On my end, it's at least running pretty smooth.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could, I don't want to make promises, but we could see about maybe just releasing some clips, showing real speed. But it does, performance is pretty good. Definitely leaps, I would probably say a good leap over Flash. As far as I did want to mention this, as far as objects go with effects, currently I mentioned we have 2 blend modes, but I do want to try and expand that in the future. I'm not making any promises yet, but I am open to adding more. I would just need to kind of work around some of the implementing shaders. I haven't got there yet, but this is what we currently have, but I am open to trying to figure that out. We also do support some UI components. Just a couple I picked were the I think it's combo box object, the list object, and edit box objects, and button objects. So we have some UI components here for those who would want them.
So do the visuals for those, are they platform agnostic?
Actually, yes, and that is what I love about this hacks project, is that pretty much, when something is implemented like these components, they're implemented in a way that are platform agnostic. So if you deployed it to WebGL instead of Linux, it would look the same.
Great. It's obviously when people do stuff and they go between like Android and then HTML5, there's quite significant differences, or between iOS as well, and that's something that I know frustrates a lot of people. So that's cool that's always, you can rely on it looking the same.
Yeah, that's in fact, actually, I think I put that in one of the slides. Basically, one code base, multiple platforms.
Yeah.
Apart from, there might be some specific platform features that we add, like for interacting with the browser or something. But the core features, way they're displayed or function will always be the same, or as close, or at least as close as possible. But with this, it does allow you to get almost like a multi-platform core that performs, that has the same functionality across whatever target we support. Which I personally, for me, that's one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Do I have oh yeah, and I did want to show this. In fact, I just got this fully working this morning. This is just a general application test that I have, but it's what's in it that I wanted to show. So everyone knows that on Windows, if you press Control Y or whatever key you've mapped for the player control dialog, you get a player control dialog for remapping controls. And that now exists on hacks. I do plan to add like a little window border there for it. So its graphics are not fully final, but it gives you an idea. As mentioned in the trailer, joysticks 1 through 4 are supported. And I'm just gonna plug one in here now so I can just set it. I know you guys can't see it, so you're gonna trust me on this one, but I have connected a controller that's recognized as a joystick. If I select that, I can then move the object around that has is assigned to player 1 with my joystick. But if you try to select one that isn't connected, they'll give you this warning. And of course, also, just like on Windows, if you select the keyboard input, you're given the option to remap keys. Now this GUI is a little rough. I just finished this up this morning, but again, that'll be a little bit more ironed out in the release. But it works the same. You press one of these buttons and you tap a key to select what you want the new mapping to be. So I'm just going to map this to the W, A, and D keys. And now that's the same as player 2. So now both objects will move. If I want to remap player 2 to up, down, left, and right. Accidentally messed that one up there. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So now we have that implemented, and I have to test this, but from what I know, the underlying core that supports joysticks will support them in the WebGL mode too. So you'll have that same exact looking UI box if you test it on WebGL, like in Linux.
So I'm talking about joysticks and controllers. Obviously, targeting Linux, you're probably looking at something like a generic to an Xbox controller. If it is going to target Steam Deck eventually, then that's got its own built-in controllers. How is that all handled? Do you have support for all of those things?
Okay, so for Fusion's actual joysticks, joysticks 1 to 4, that's handled with something. It's handled with something called the Lime Joystick API. It's the joystick system present in a foundational library called Lime. It's a part of the OpenFL library, or it's a foundation of the OpenFL library that we use in the runtime. But we do also will have support for the Xbox Gamepad extension, which that layout maps to a Steam Deck. So
cool.
I think anyone who's probably tested that on Linux or on their Steam Deck has probably found that yes, it does get detected as a this gets detected as a gamepad. So any Xbox or Xbox style gamepads can be supported that way. So that's the current plan for how that would be implemented.
Cool. So I had another question. Obviously, Flash is very sandboxed and didn't even allow things like proper file access. How does this differ?
All right. Well, and that's another one of the great things about this is because the structure is like Flash, but as mentioned, because it's not actually Flash. It's a native application, so it has access to things like file reading and writing. So any objects that would support that, like array, list, whatever, it will support writing files to disk. And I do plan to add the file object as well.
And does it have potential for more hardware level access to do things like potentially change? I mean, we have extensions, for example, in Fusion, which can fiddle with the process priority for a particular application or send system window messages and stuff like that. Does this have the ability to have those sort of controls and that sort of extension?
I'm not sure about system window messages. There is I could give access through the SDK to like a alert function, so you could at least give little alert dialog boxes like this. As far as it can mess with the window. So like, for example, the window control object will be able to move the window around. You could resize it, cool. Stuff like that.
I think I just picked the hardest possible thing there. That was a hardware system or OS level example. There are probably more useful examples I could have gone with, but okay, so that's pretty cool. Anything else you'd like to sort of show off before we go to Q&A about this?
I'm going to take a look at the folder I have here. Unless anyone wants to see any of the games that we had in the trailer running, I think I've showed all the little demo programs I made for this.
Actually, I think that'd be quite useful to see a couple of games, some real world examples.
All righty. I will fire up. I can fire up either Moke or Cybervore. Moki, it's by Demiro, or Cybervore. I could do either one of those if the chat has a preference.
Nobody said anything. Dealer's choice.
All right. I'll just go with Moki. I got the MFA from Demiro, and it's actually been a really useful test program. In fact, it actually helped me catch several bugs or help implement features. Like for example, these particles here weren't working due to an issue with timers that I didn't catch, but that's why actually testing real world examples is so useful. And in fact, this game here uses the zoom transition that I mentioned I implemented for objects.
Just another
kinda...
message for everyone watching: we don't have the sound turned on. It does work. We just turned it off for this bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I can try and enable that if you'd like.
Sure, why not? I mean, we've got to this point.
All right. Yeah, here, let me.
That might be a setting in the share thing in Teams.
Yeah, here. Let me check my audio settings here. I know it's got. I can't. Let's see, chat people. I'm not certain. I'm not certain I can see the setting for that, unfortunately.
No matter. It does work. Right. Everyone just have to trust us there. But we can release some videos showing these things, of course.
Yeah, of course. And this has to be fully implemented for the exported application, so I had forced this on for this. But as you noticed, we have not only do we have application scaling, but unlike on Flash, we have scaling that preserves the aspect ratio. And if there are any hitches, I have tested this without sharing a screen, or so it does run smoothly. So if anyone sees that, or if it's not showing up pretty smoothly, it is on my end. But like you said, we can look at releasing some videos that actually show the real performance.
Out of interest, how is the scanline effect being done on this game?
Oh, this actually is it was done in a very multi-platform friendly way by Demiro. It's just like a PNG. It's not like an actual shader effect. That is something that's currently not supported, custom shaders. But again, that is something I would like to look into. I just can't promise it for release.
I assume they'd have to be GLSL to work.
Yes, because OpenGL rendering is used for all platforms this would target.
Okay. Do you want to show the other game as well, just so there's a bit of a difference in visual style?
Yes. And actually, modified this one because it used a custom effect, but for the hits, for like when you hit an enemy, it uses an invert effect, which is supported. And it's a pretty good. It works pretty good for a hit indicator effect.
Okay.
So I'll fire this up here. Cyber 4. Here we go. I think there's any save data, so it should just start from level 1. Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit the space bar. That skips me to the next level. But I can start here. So yeah, it is pretty good at handling it should be pretty good at handling lots of on-screen elements. Definitely better than Flash. It's not it's not the exact same performance as Windows. That I think that'll always be the fastest. But I did put some work into making sure that we had decent performance here.
Yeah. And is the rendering here all done in the same way Fusion does on Windows, with using essentially 3D, 2D object tiles?
Yeah. Like this is all pre-rendered 2D image sequences.
Cool. Are these demos? I don't know whether the owners of the actual games would agree, but are these things that if they do, we can upload for people to try out themselves yet, or is that not possible?
I know Cybervore is. I think it was on the open source section of the Click store, so I don't think there'd be a problem with that.
Okay.
In order to upload Demiro's demo, I would have to check with him. I would want to get his permission.
Sure.
But if yes, then yeah, I have no problem making a little test thing for people to try out if they wanted to.
That would be cool. Awesome. So, I mean, that's obviously showing off some nice big sprites moving smoothly there. Again, if anyone didn't catch the caveat earlier, we're streaming this interview through Microsoft Teams, and ChatGPT earlier, I believe, put it, Microsoft only designed it for the pain of showing off spreadsheets and slides, so it's not very fast.
Yeah, so if it does look like a slideshow, it's definitely not reflective of the real performance.
No, it's coming across pretty smooth, but I know it's smoother in real life than by just the jerks are not there in the way that some people might be seeing, especially if there's some lower bandwidth. Okay, so we can go to some Q&A now and answer people's questions live in the chat. So we've already had a few up here. Let me go back.
Alrighty.
Somebody asked about the price. We haven't finalized that yet, so that will be coming at some point soon, hopefully. And we had, what about the events? Are they interpreted or compiled into Hax code?
They're not compiled into Hax code. It's compiled the same way an application file for normal Fusion runtimes would be. So they are interpreted.
Cool. And how many extensions are going to be supported on this? At launch, you said you were planning all of the Flash ones, which will port over. Are there any in addition to that you plan for launch, or will they come later?
All right. First, actually, let me grab this. This is just a quick list I made.
Handy.
It's not as fancy as a slide. These are with exception to the lacewing object and surface object. These are all of the Flash extensions that weren't like Flash specific, like Moki ads or the FLV video object. Anything with a star, I still need to actually add, but this list will be. All these will at least be in there at launch. As far as additional ones after that, I do want to look into adding things like I mentioned, the file object, or other ones that were never ported to Flash, but could be present on Hax. And I do actually want to try also getting the lacewing extension, lacewing green extension working for that, but I haven't delved into that one yet.
Okay, and somebody's asking, considering Hax can be compiled with HXCPP, ran with Lime, will the runtime be compiled?
Okay, yes. So we will not be shipping the runtime source code, unlike with Flash or HTML5. It will be shipped as a precompiled executable. So it's almost kind of like how the Windows runtime does it. We don't have the actual Windows C++ source code. We just have I think a precompiled exe. So yeah, for that it will be almost like a template. So yeah.
And we've had a question about the platform compatibility. So which distros are supported at the moment?
Okay.
Obviously Mint.
So for the so Linux Mint, and it should be any Ubuntu based distro at the moment. I know that for a fact because not just Ubuntu, I think it's a Debian type application specifically. So anything Debian based like Ubuntu, Linux Mint, or there are so many others out there should work just fine. As far as ones outside of that, I haven't done a lot of testing, but I do know at least the version of Arch Linux on the Steam Deck. I know that's compatible. I don't know if Arch itself is. I don't know if Steam does anything specific for that, but but that's what I've tested so far.
Okay, cool. And somebody asks, what will the extension development sides? How will that be done?
Alrighty, so we'll ship an extension SDK like we've done with like ClickTeam's done with other platforms. It will be slightly different, of course, because it won't have the full source code available like with Flash or HTML5 again. But it will be, if anyone's curious, it will use a feature of Hax called externs. So they'll have access to functions and variables they need from the runtime, but they won't actually have the true runtime source code. And they're going to be compiled. The current plan is to compile them to like a module called CPPIA, And it basically allow it to package up extensions in a little module that instead of having to write them into the source code directly, and include them at build time with each template.
Cool. Another question from Samburger360. Are there going to be any Linux exclusive features?
I haven't thought that far ahead yet. As far as any Linux exclusive ones, one thing I would want to look into, if we officially said we supported Steam Deck, I would want to try and get like a Steamworks object working, which in this case would be for Linux. I might have depending on what I'll probably have like a little hacks runtime object, kind of almost like the Flash runtime object, just for handling some things that might be specific to it. It's the hacks runtime. But as far as that, I haven't currently planned any Linux exclusive ones. If anyone has any suggestions for what that might be, I'd be open to it. But currently, no, not at the moment. I don't think there's anything that would be exclusive specifically to Linux.
Sure. And what else have we got down here? Everyone's asking about Firefly. I'm not sure how would that work. Is that something that could be?
So I have actually thought of this. I have thought of this. There is a library for hacks on OpenFL known as Away3D. So there is a way to implement 3D functionality. I don't know if it would be. I don't know how accurate it would be to Firefly Windows builds, but if that did come, that would come later. But it is something that could probably be technically possible. I just haven't done much looking into it. But as far as the tech to support it, you can create and run a 3D environment. It's not wouldn't use the same library as Firefly on Windows, but if it was implemented, it might use something like that. But currently for release, that's not in the plans. But maybe in the future, it'll all depend on how feasible it ends up being.
Foxy Official is asking, which graphics API is used? Is there any specific version of OpenGL, Vulkan, etc.?
All right, so it is OpenGL. I don't know the version off the top of my head. I think it's at least at minimum version 2. I don't know if it uses version 3. I would have to double check the source code of the libraries we use to see what it's requesting. But it should. I know it's definitely version 2, so it should either be version 2 or 3.
Cool. Is there? I don't know hacks myself. I haven't used it, but is there any way that the text code could be added and interpreted at runtime? Is that something that could be included?
So basically something like a scripting system, right?
Yeah, that would have been the easy way to say it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So there is a feature of hacks called HScript, which interprets scripts at runtime. So that could be something I could look into. It's not a feature planned for on release, but it is, again, technically possible. So if people really want it, I could take a look into it, because the best part about that specific way too is we could control, if I remember correctly, I haven't done much messing around with HScript, but if I remember correctly, it would also give us control in what people could access. So, if when the scripts run, if it's not told that this component's here, then it couldn't be accessed. So, it wouldn't just be like a free for all. So I think that would prevent viruses and stuff. It would be I think it would be a safe environment. I have to check that, but that is something that I think could technically be done.
Very cool. Do we have any other questions? Anyone in the chats? Anything else you'd like to say, Toby?
As far as runtime demos or features, no, but I would like to thank everyone for their interest in this. I would like to thank Click Team for giving me the opportunity to work on this for them, which when I got that offer, I was blown away. So I'm just so glad that I've been able to help make this a reality, and that we can bring this to you.
Well, it's very cool, and it's great to have it. already so advanced. And do we have a development timeline yet, or is that one we can't answer?
I don't think we have a specific date in mind yet, but there, as you could probably see from the demos, there already is a great amount of progress made. So it's not like, I would say we're at least not like, we're not like multiple years away from it.
Good. Right. Well, that's been really interesting, and obviously some excitement there. And if anyone wants to discuss things more, Toby is going to be in the Discord server, and your username, I have completely forgotten. Digivorix, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to talk more to Toby, head on over to our Discord server. You can find a link. Hopefully we'll put that up in the chat, actually. I'll do that when I get a moment. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us. And we look forward to some more news about this and an eventual release. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, Simon.
You're welcome. So there you are. Big surprise. It's going to be very cool and open up some really interesting possibilities there. And don't forget to, if you have any more questions, again, go into our Discord server and check out some more of the information we're going to put there. Hopefully some demos that people can download if we can get that sorted. And oh, my Patreon QR code has gone there. Just leave that back up there. Click that, scan that even if you'd like to go to our Patreon and take a look at our cool stuff there. Right, so I'm just going to give a trailer now for our ClickTeam Pro services. And this talks a bit about our porting and redevelopment and all sorts of different things that ClickTeam offers as a paid service to help you with your projects. So we've done upscaling, we've done full console ports, we've done refactoring in various ways, we've made new features to help people achieve certain things in their projects which they were struggling with. So I'll show you this reel of some of the projects we've worked with, and afterwards I'll tell you how to contact us about if you have your own project and you'd like to know some more and discuss with us. So that was some of the titles that we've worked with through our professional services division. Again, it's a service we offer, a paid service where we can work with your projects to port them to consoles or other platforms. We can refactor them. We can help fix problems, all sorts of different things. We've got a special internal runtime that our team uses. It's far too raw, not in a bad way, but that it's too much for users. It would be too difficult, but our team are specially trained and have worked to develop this, so we've got extra power that we can leverage there for especially console porting and so on. So if you'd like to discuss your project and see if there's any way we can work with you and basically get in touch, service.clickteam, I think it is, .com, and open a ticket under the professional services section there, which should be on the front page, and somebody from the team will get back to you as soon as possible. So all of that said, we're now going to jump back into the CavinDave development. So I'm going to do some more work and start getting tiles stamped down. So we left off before. Oh, I've lost my. Excuse me, I've just lost my chat window again there. Bear with me. There we go. So we got to the point before where, actually, I'll just do a rundown for anyone who's just joined. Again, we launched, don't know when it was actually, about 5-6 years ago maybe, we did a game called CavinDave, and it lets you build levels in a dungeon cave setting with various traps and things you have to do, like collecting hearts so that you can open the door and escape. And you can build your levels, upload them to our server, and then other users can play them. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of that. Hopefully I get a slightly kinder level this time to show people. So I'll show you the editor first. So we've got this editor here where you can use it to make, that's obviously a pickup object, but you can make all sorts of level designs, and keep clicking on the wrong tile there. Lots of different puzzles and cool stuff, lots of enemies and traps. And then these get uploaded to our server and they can be played. So if I quit back to the front, there we go. So this is, for some reason, I only got the server running again today. I think it might not be sending the level name and designer name through. Oh, well, that's me dead. So, okay. Oop. That's unusually good reflexes for me. There's a lot of. Oh, no. Okay, I'm no good at these games, which is why we have Pablo, who's doing awesome streaming. Make sure you sign up for notifications. We stream throughout the week on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Steam, when we can sort that out. Sometimes it doesn't let us. And what am I forgetting? There's one other. And hopefully TikTok at some point soon. We don't have enough followers yet on TikTok, so if you are on TikTok, find us, follow us, and we'll hopefully get the streaming permissions unlocked soon. And we can stream there too. I'll just do one more level because that was particularly bad. I'm going to restart that one because there we go. So the idea is to collect the hearts, 3 in this case, and I'm going to fall on the spikes every time. And then the door opens, and no, I'm just not going to play. It's really bad. Right, let's go back to the level editor design. So just something I'm going to point out, because I see a lot of users, and no shame, but the event editor is what a lot of people use by default, and people don't always realize that we've got the event list editor. So obviously here you can hover over things to see what's going on under each set of actions under an object, or you can double click, which actually I found someone the other day didn't realize that. goodness knows how they were managing to sort the order of their actions out, but obviously you can do all of that sort of dragging and dropping there. However, we have the event list editor, which you can get to from, I have no idea which menu it's under. I'm so used to the keyboard. Yeah, event list editor there. Or you can press Control L on your keyboard. And that shows you still got all the groups and everything and all the nested events, but it's laid out in more of a traditional code style. So a lot of people find event editor a little impenetrable. They can't really see what's going on. I personally favor this one. Again, no shade if you like the event editor more. And you can, of course, hop between the two. But this is my preferred way of doing it because it's more of a just everything's laid out and you're not having to search around and try and remember what's under which thing. It's just works better with my ADHD brain anyway. So we got as far as the menu opening and selecting a particular tile and it being positioned on a grid which we calculated, and we have that stored in a global value. Down here you can see cursor X and Y, so as I move the mouse around it's constantly updating that, and that allows us to place the tile that we've got chosen at any one point, or just the cursor flashing corners thing. And that's all done using these two values up here, which are the tile width and height, 32 in this case. Although if you wanted to resize the graphics to, let's say, 50 by 50, all you'd need to do with these things here is actually just change those to 50, and it would allow the engine to scale to meet that size. So we've got as far as I said as something's gone wrong there. I think I might have moved the object out of frame and it's destroyed it. So let's just make sure that that doesn't happen again. So that was our object there. Nope. No, we'll find out as I go on. So we've got the when you click on the menu, it retrieves from each object. We've got alterable values. So these are all individual objects. I know a lot of people like to use one single object, and we do indeed have that here. This one, which I use to position as the cursor, and that lets us stamp down an object onto the frame. That's great for that sort of thing, but when it comes to actually laying out objects in a menu and choosing between them, I personally recommend having separate objects. It just makes your life a lot easier, and Fusion, it doesn't add any extra real overhead to the system when Fusion's hidden and they're not showing. So it's not really a performance issue, which I think a lot of people base their decision. So each of these, as I said, they've got a defined value, something that you couldn't easily do if you had just a single object here. Although if you buy the Fusion 2.5 Plus DLC, that does give you an instance value. We talked about this in the last stream actually. Instance value allows you, whereas if you set a global, an alterable value for any object in the frame editor, any clones of it also share exactly the same properties in that sense. So if you set tile number here to 99, any clones of that object would also be set to 99. Instance value does let you set one number per object in the frame editor. So I'm not going to use this, but I could set that one to 1 and that one to 2. And now you can see when I click on them down in the properties here, we've got 1 and 2. You could use that to save. So every single one of these, as I said, it's got tile number, and these relate to so I'll show the lava one, for example, that's set to 10. So if I open this object and then frame number, oh, it's 11. It's confusing. Oh, it's because it's 0 based. So it refers to the the animation frame in this object so that we can then change the cursor and stamp it down and create the right object. So I could have put that in instance values. As it happened, that didn't exist. It wasn't a feature when this was originally made, and that's why we've got all this data already stored. So I'm just going to set that back to naught because we don't want to use those anyway. So we have the cursor object creating showing the correct tile that's been selected, and we stored that in the value selected tile of the cursor object. So now I'm going to do a basic click on the grid so that we can start placing an object down. So I'm going to say user clicks left button, and I'm going to check, and I set this value up earlier. Lock, it's a global value that I always use, and it allows me to tell the rest of the application that something is happening, and you shouldn't open like another dialogue or take another action that could interfere with other objects. So in this instance, I've created this second value. It's a string, a global string called lock mode, and I've set this to menu. So I don't actually need that one in this instance. All I need to know is lock equal to naught, and that means that another action which shouldn't be happening along with certain other actions can continue to happen. In this case, it means that because when we click on a tile here and select it from the menu, it sets the lock back to 0, and that will free this up so that we can start actually placing a tile. So I'm trying to remember how we did this in the original one. I think I'm just going to create another object rather than stamp the tile down. So tile cursor. I think it might just be the tile cursor actually. Yeah, so we'll just use that one, and I'm just trying to. So we've got some layers here. I'm not sure we actually got as far as using those. I'll see. We'll get to that later. We had, for example, foreground objects were things like the on-screen joystick, because this runs cross-platform, and gameplay layer was things like collectibles and springs and traps that you interact with. Then the near background was, yeah, I don't think we actually developed that. I think that was for more sort of distant parallaxing scenery. So perhaps I'll get to that in a later part of the series that we're doing. So I'm going to, when it's the button's clicked, it's there, and I'm just going to add in a check just to say I'm just going to compare the X mouse and say it's greater or equal to 0, lower or equal to the frame width, and then the same for Y mouse. And I'm just doing this to make sure that we are definitely over the actual frame, because we don't want to be placing objects outside of it at all. So I do that one to Y mouse and that lower or equal to frame height. And if that click happens, and let's put this up at the top, because that's, if that is not 0, none of these need to be checked. And then we're going to create an object. And which one was I going to use? Selected tile. No, I'll stick with the cursor object, I think. I'm reusing the old frame here, so I'm trying to remember from like 6 years ago how this actually all worked. So we are going to position these, and I'm going to just initially set them -100 so that they're off the screen. And we'll put these in the gameplay layer, and I'm going to as we saw earlier, the animation of that object, it was running right the way through all of the frames. So we stopped it to prevent that from happening. And so we could display a specific frame. So having created this object, I'm just going to repeat that and animation stop. Now, again, we are reusing the cursor object here, and it's going to cause a bit of a problem, as you'll see in a moment. But I thought I'd do it this way because it's a useful bit of object selection to help you understand that a bit better. So stop the animation, and we currently have the X and Y, as I showed you earlier, that are already calculated. So we know where this is. So we can add in position, can set the X coordinate to, and I called it cursor X, and we multiply that by the tile width, which I've forgotten the actual name of the value. There we are, grid tile width. And then we will, oops. I'm not sure why I did it that way. We'll set the position Y coordinate. I would love a set X and Y for objects, like in one dialogue. That would be very cool. Sorry to give you extra things to do, Eve. So this one we're using the cursor Y multiplied by the tile height. And that positions, you saw that cycling through there. I need to stop that one as well, obviously, but I'll do that later. So let's pick that, for example. So it's not clicking down. So what have I not done here? Lock is equal to 0. Oh, it's quite probably not visible at start, so I might need to make that visible. No, it is. Just make sure the event's running. So I'm just going to put in end application there. Okay, that's working. I'm going to actually put in another test there because we need to make sure that the cursor actually has a selected tile type. So say greater or equal to 0. And then if I set that one at edit time to select a tile equal to -1, and then that will mean that we have to actually select a tile before you can click. Right, so that is firing. So set the selected tile. Oh, is it just that it was really dark and I didn't spot it? It may have been. Help if I didn't end the application still. Try it again. Pick that one. Either way, we do need to still set the animation frame just to make sure it's not that. So I'm going to change the animation frame that we've just stamped down to the selected tile value stored in the cursor object. Let's see if that works now. Yeah, that would be quite handy. Robert rule, that is. Right, no, that's still not stamping. Let us add the object we just created. I know what it is. It's the object selection thing I'm just going to tell you about. And I've just got confused by it, and I told you I was going to explain it to you. So we are going to have to differentiate between the object we've just created, which is a tile cursor, and the one that we're stamping, that we're moving around. Because at the moment, if I add this object to the debugger when it's been created and run that, and now you'll see it'll pop up here, and I'll stamp that down, And now the cursor's just stopped moving altogether, which is confusing. No, it's still the same problem. Yeah, so what we would need to have done is distinguish in some way that there is one of these that is just the cursor, and that could be done with a flag or some sort of value that doesn't get set on the stamp down tiles. However, I'm going to take my own advice from earlier and make these separate objects, because that is massively overcomplicating matters. So I'm just going to clone that and replace it with what we've just been doing with that object. So I'll call it tile stamp instead. It's genuinely easier not to reuse objects. It does just add a lot of confusion. Now I'm going to go to the frame editor here and just do a swap. User quicks. Which one? That's in that folder. Right, so I'm just going to... That's not going to work, is it? Let me just find that object that I've just created. Just somewhere here. Ah, there we go. Just going to move it in there. And I was going to use the replace by another object, but we do have a condition of the cursor one that I do need to still use. So I just pop that next to it so I can just easily drag it across. Excuse me if I'm squinting. I normally wear glasses, but I've got some big old studio lights here and it keeps glaring. So if I keep scratching my eyes up, that's why. Right. So now that we are placing down a tile stamp and not trying to move around two objects that are identical without being able to easily distinguish between the two, hopefully that one will work this time. So it's not stopping the animation for some reason. What I'm going to do to make that easier, not sure why we didn't do it in the first place, but I'm going to just set the animation speed to 0, and then that won't keep cycling through like that anyway. So that's stopped. We don't need the debugger, and hopefully tile cursor, that should now pick it up. There we go. Now that is confusingly moving around. What have I done wrong? Yes, magic pairing is a myth. See my last stream about magic pairing. It's not real. We finally worked out what was going on with it. This, however, selected tile, user clicks. We've created that one. So Fusion has scoped this. Nope, we're creating the wrong object. That's still set to tile cursor. So we actually need to just replace that with a brand new one, which is tile stamp. So I was just stamping down the wrong object still from when I was using the previous object. Either way, stopping the animation by setting it to 0, it just saves any issues. So fingers crossed now if I stamp this, there we go. So we can only click one at a time. We'll get later to the dragging boxes and lines that we did in the past one. So, right, we did forget one step back here. When you actually click on a tile to select it, there is a selected tile object, which just shows the current one. And again, we're just going to change that animation frame to the stored value in the cursor object called selected tile. And I'm just going to set that one so that the animation speed is 0 as well. No, we won't need to worry about that. So all that just added was now when I click water, for example, it shows water up there. I can stamp water down. So as I said before, there are two ways to do this. You can store this data in an array, but I'm going to do the easy version so we don't confuse people with who don't understand the array object yet. Although do go back and check out past streams because I did go into how the array object works with some hopefully easy to follow examples. So we are going to instead just stamp the tiles down. They're just active objects, exactly the same as had you placed them in your frame. And what we're going to do instead is just cycle through all of them at the point of saving the level, and we will just receive each one's position on the X and Y in the grid, and also, excuse me, we will have the tile number so that we know what to save in and then how to rebuild the level when we come back out. So need to excuse me, sorry, I have a very dry throat. There we go. We need to do another check actually. At the moment, we don't want to just stamp this down on top of another tile because that would mean that there are two tiles occupying the same space, which is obviously a situation we don't want to have. It should be one per grid position. So I'm going to say, is the mouse over an object? And I'm going to choose the stamp object we made. Again, red there means we need to move it back up to the top so it goes green so that it fires as soon as you click. Whereas if it was down here, it would only detect the click as it's looping through your events. So we want to negate that, so the mouse pointer is not over another tile stamp. None of this needs to happen if lock is not 0, so that can go underneath lock 0. That helps a little bit with optimization. And if I run that now and choose lava, oh, I've done something wrong again, haven't I? What have I done there? It was when I added this in. Unless I did something else. So the mouse is not over tile stamp. That should work. Number of objects is going up, so it's creating them, it's just moving them all. Okay. I think by doing this, I'm asking Fusion to do an object selection and then selecting the wrong objects. So just to make this a little bit easier, I am going to use an array. Basically, array is a grid. X goes left to right, Y goes top to bottom. And we are going to use this one that's already here. Tool list. Oh no, that's got something else in it. So we'll make a new one. And I'm just going to use this for detection here in the grid because it will just help matters. I'm going to make it base 0 by unchecking that. And that means that indexes X and Y positions, that is, start at 0 rather than 1 because our grid starts 0, 0 here. So going to make it a number array, and you can set the dimensions to the entire size of the level. I forget what it was now, but if you store data in a position that's greater than 10, Fusion will just expand these two things here, which is automatic, basically, to save you having to worry about it. It used to be that if you said 10 by 10 and you tried to store at 11 by 11, it wouldn't work, but it's long since been automated there. So I'm going to, in this list as well, I'm going to put in I should give it a name there. I'm going to write a value to an X and Y position, and that's just our grid. So cursor X and cursor Y, and the value I'm going to write is 1. No, what have I done there? Sorry. Start that again. You do the value first. So I'm going to write a value to X, Y. The value is 1 to tell me that there is a tile there. I'll actually store the selected tile number. No, I'll just keep it simple. Stick to 1. So put a 1 and cursor X for the X position and cursor Y for the Y position. And now instead of this, which is causing an unwanted object selection, I'll replace that with a compare to general values. And all I'm going to do is read back from the array object that I just created. And I'm going to read a value from the XY position. Because we haven't changed to another event, we can still reuse the cursor X and Y. Those won't be recalculated until the next event loop. So I can just say cursor X, cursor Y, and that equals 0. So that just means if you stamp that down, it writes a 1 into that position in the array that matches the grid coordinates. And then when you try to stamp another one down, it checks to make sure that there isn't a 1 there already. If there was a 1 there, we can then add in a function later to delete the tile. So hopefully, let's fix that. There we go. But if I now try and stamp down that there, see, it won't let me, but it will let me on the ones around it. So that's now looking at the array. And if I pop one of these up here just to show you, oops, let's do it at, oh, it's done it anyway. It's stored it up in, I'm pointing at my screen again, which you can't see. It's stored it up in the 0, 0 position for the grid there. So if I add the array to the debugger, and this option here lets you display a value, so you can see there at 0 by 0 in the grid. We're not using Z here, and that's set to 1. If I move it to here, which is 1, 0, 1, X and Y is 0 still, you'll see that that goes to a 0. And then if I move it to the next one along here, which is 2, 0, again, you will see as a 1. So that's it telling us that there's a object there already. We could have stored the tile numbers in there and then use the array to save those later, but I'm going to keep it more simple there. This is just a handy way to actually keep a track of what's on your grid. Yes, so we can now add in a delete function. So I'll just do click, so the button lock is 0, value, oh, let's change that to right button so that we can that wouldn't be cross-platform then, would it? Let's make it a double click instead on left, and then that is cross-platform, so you can delete an object again that way. So say lock is 0, the value at the current cursor position. Now we want to detect where there is an object, so I'm going to set it to 1. And actually I'll replace that with double clicks on the actual object, rather than then having to add in an extra condition that selects the object that we want under the cursor. By doing a user double clicks on a specific object, that tells Fusion to select that particular object that we want to work with. So object selection is a mystical art to a lot of people, but it's all about making sure that Fusion knows which object you want to be working with. So in this case, we've detected the double click on the tile stamp, which is the objects that I'm laying down. So now when we've checked, is this in the right mode to be doing a deletion? And is there something at this position already? And there is, because we've got an object there, but we may as well do the check just as a backup. And we don't need to do any more tests, actually. That's enough, I think. So we can just do destroy that object, which of course Fusion has scoped in the object selection up here. And then we just want to go back to the array, and we want to turn that 1 into a 0. So I'm going to write a value to x, y, and the value is 0 this time. And again, we can use the cursor x and cursor y. And in theory, we can now remove one. There we go. So that's deleting them. And if I pop one down there and I show you the array object, and at the moment that's at 0 by 1. That's a 1. If I now go and delete that and then have a look at the array again, 0 by 1, you can see it's now back to 0. So we've got an empty tile space again. So that gives us basic objects. Let me go back to the original one and see what else we need to work on next. So, why is that running? Ah, yeah. So we've got the titles up. We've got, we'll deal with those later. I added a right mouse button thing in there just to close that. So we can do that at another point. So we can already make up quite a complex level. With the original one, you'll notice that we had a much smaller window and you scrolled around it. And I'm going to add in, we used the arrow keys to allow you to scroll, but I think on this one I might make it so that you can scroll by right-clicking on the grid and dragging that. Oh no, that won't be cross-platform compatible then. I'll stick to cursor keys because most people had that ability there. So I'm going to add in, so that's menu. I'm going to separate out those actions actually into a new group of events. Playing / deleting tiles, and pop those down into there. Oops, missed the mark. Okay, so now I'm going to do a group for level scrolling. Now it's actually quite hard to see this grid. I'm wondering if we can make it more more visible. How am I to do that? So is anything in layer 5? Okay, so in, oh, something was there. Oh, that's the joystick. Why is that not in HUD? Sorry, that was a strange noise. Right, let's do it this way then. So I'm going to create a string object. Actually, I'm going to use actually active system box might not work. No, I'll stick with a simple string. So I'm going to create a string up here, and I'm going to hide it at start and not create it at start. And what I'm going to do with this string is make sure the alignment is centered and centered. And I'm going to set the color to white. To Homer will do. Actually, let's go with Arial. Make sure that's Make it bold. But I'm going for something that's going to fit within one of these tiles. Maybe 10 is better actually, because we're going to have some larger numbers in there. Just trying to think how to a nice way to make an easy visual guide. Once you've obviously got objects in your level, you'll see them moving around, but until you have that, it's a little bit tricky. So we've got the grid, and that's here. It's just colored, so you can't show or hide a quick backdrop. No, there's no actions for those. I'll have a think about that one rather than take time up now doing it. So I'll get to the level scrolling bit here. So I've got two values already defined. I noticed them earlier, called temx and temy. And I'm going to use those when we right click. Oh no, I was going to do cursor keys, wasn't I? Sorry, ignore. So we're going to use keyboards when we press a key, so go left, and we will scroll. I think I'll do it grid tiles, so it doesn't. No, actually, smooth scrolling would be better. Right, so make my mind up in a minute. Bear with me. So I'm going to do. Just check we didn't have one in here already. Camera X and Y. Ah, we do. These are all old values, but I might as well reuse them where they're there. So camera X and Y. So those will start at 0,0 because the frame is in the top left, even though it's larger. So I'm just going to subtract from camera X, take one away, or it can ignore me. There we go. And do the same for right arrow. In that case, can we negate? I'd love that. Okay, so I'll just copy those and do up. Change that one to camera Y. So we're subtracting 1 from that. Down. Copy that and negate. So that's add. So if I run that now, you'll see in my global values the camera variables up here. Well, they would if I didn't click off of it. They're changing. We obviously need to stop it at 0. So I'm going to add in a compare to a global value and say is the camera X greater than 0, because we don't want to scroll off past the actual grid. And for the right arrow, now we had a somewhere we stored. No, we didn't. So I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to say is lower than, and I'm going to use the frame width, and I'm going to divide that by the value we do have stored in here, which is the width of a tile. So that will give us the number of grid positions. And we just want to say minus F1. So that will stop that from scrolling too far that way. And again, the same for this event. So just change that to camera Y greater than 0. And this one, camera Y. And instead we'll just change that to frame height. And grid tile height instead. And I'm also going to create a loop here that will actually position. So we'll say scroll. Do it. Why not? And then rather than having to put the scrolling logic into each of these events, I'm just going to simply put them here, it here, and then I'm going to call this loop from each of these events. So no matter how much change I make to the scrolling logic, it will always be reflected automatically by virtue of the fact that it's not repeated under each one. We're calling the loop to do it instead. Fast loops, if you don't know them, check them out. They are super, super handy for automating your workflow. Yes, there are other ways to do the limits. Someone's saying I can use the range function. I'm trying to do everything in super basic, like easiest possible way to understand at the moment. I might do some more optimization later and try and make some of those changes. So we made our loop called scroll, not quite scroll, do it. And so we're going to call that just the once. And no, there we go. So that needs to come second on each one. It's not going to play nice with me. My keyboard is running out of battery and it's not doing the control button very well. If things keep happening there that look like they shouldn't, that's why. So any scroll event there calls this loop, and just to show that that now works in the application, press an arrow key and off it goes. So here I am going to use the, I hate scrolling, it always boggles my mind. So we're doing it one tile at a time here. Right, so bear with me because it'll probably take me a few goes to do this. It always confuses me. So we want to scrollings, and we want to center the horizontal position. So we need to tell it what the halfway point in the window is that we should be showing. So I need to actually get the frame size this time, which I'm getting from the active. Oh no, I can get that from here, can't I? Screen. No, that's still the. So I could work it out by minusing the left position of the visible screen. Sorry, yeah, from the right. But the window control object, which is cross-platform, does have application window here, horizontal size of the client area, which is the part of the window that you're actually seeing. So you may have a larger frame. That's just whatever the bit that is actually showing to you. So if I divide that by 32, not 32, it is 32, but I'm going to get the value from my global stored width here. And I can now, so I've got the number of grid tiles wide by dividing it by the width of a tile. I can now divide that by 2, which gets the halfway point, I think. Put that in brackets, and then I am going to add onto that the value we calculated, the camera X. I think that should work. Bear with me if it doesn't. Let's just plop down an object there. No, that's not working. What have I done wrong? Did I say I hate scrolling? It always confuses me. Center display at X. Okay. I'm still working in grid positions here. I need to then multiply all of that back up by the width of the tile. Oops. Hopefully that works. Sort of working. What am I doing wrong there? So I've got the width of the client area divided by the width of a tile, divided by 2 to get the halfway point. And I have added the camera thing to that, which is a position within the grid, and then multiplied it by the tile width. Let's just take that bit, and whenever you're struggling with stuff, always use the debugger, and you can output text to the window. So in this case, I'm going to do a string version of all of that. And that way, when I'm doing these calculations down here, I'll be able to actually see what's happening. Well, that makes sense to me. Grid times grid at the end without divided by grid. Have I done an extra division? Oh, that's actually unnecessary, isn't it? So if I just do client width divided by the tile width divided by 2, that gives us, no, just by 2 even. So that's the halfway point in actual pixels. We're back out of grid here. And then I just need to add the camera X multiplied by the width of a tile, I think. Did I say this stuff confuses me? I really, really wish Eve, one day, please, just top left pixel, scroll to that. Would be amazing. That would save my poor brain. Right. Does that work? No, that's simplified the equation, but it's doing exactly the same. Come on, chat. Go, click Team Community. Tell me what I've done wrong here. Is this because I'm zoomed in? That's still... Just check that it's not the fact that I zoomed the window in doing something strange. Doesn't seem like it should be, but you never know. No, that's exactly the same. Times grid at the end. Grid what? Grid X? Grid width? I'm proper confused. It happens, don't worry. It's all about debugging and knowing how to test through it. He says confidently, hoping that he's going to manage to do that. Let me just make sure that size is back up to where it was, because it's a bit hard to see down that smaller size. No. Not that one, that's for sure. Right, let's have a look again at what that's actually outputting. By dumping it into the debugger, now that I've made the change. And debugger says 64, 88, 12. That's not jumping up in 32, so it's jumping up in a smaller amount, which is odd. Right. I'm just going to strip that right back to client width divided by 2. Let's do that in the debugger and I can see it there. Oops, forget client width divided by 2 and nothing else, and just see that that's actually what I'm expecting it to be. 640, that is correct. $640, that's half screen plus camera times grid. Okay, someone else has got a better idea. So half the screen width plus camera X times grid width divided by grid W, grid time W times grid. That seems like witchcraft. If that works, that works. We shall see. No, that's exactly as it was before. Let me just go back to that. So that was string of that. So we've got half the screen width. Oh. I have an idea. Just use this tool here. Yes. Okay. I see what it is. So it's actually the tiles are double the size because I've zoomed in, which is confusing for scrolling. So if I grid tile width just temporarily for this zoomed in version, hopefully that's going to work. It's even less. It's 4. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Well, that's even more confusing. Everything in brackets, says somebody in the chat. Okay. I need if that actually physically can. Oh no, that's just a zoom. I'm sorry, folks. I'm having a bit of a struggle here. So, half screen. Everything in brackets. Let's see how that would help. But okay, let's try that one. Thank you, Fadzio. However you pronounce that. You have, although it's still having a weirdness there. Okay, I am running out of time, so I am going to stop there and work out what on earth happened there. I thought I'd re-understood it, having looked through the original code, but I've clearly misremembered something. So I will come back to that next week, month even, on March 20th. So I'm going to switch back over to my camera now, and we're going to have a look at a couple more trailers. So the first one is Steel Shadows Arena. So that was Steel Shadows Arena. You can find that one on Steam, and we're gonna do one final trailer for Super Power Racing. That was Super Power Racing, and you can find that one on Steam, and there's also a demo you can download. Make sure you check that out. Also, check out our previous stream from last month. Interviewed the creator and went through some interesting discussion about how that was made. So I'm going to do one last shout out for our Patreon, Reactor. Bring up the thingy there, and you can scan the QR code there, or you can find us at Click Team if you search for that on Patreon. And we have a free tier with lots of cool stuff. We have some paid tiers with different levels of perks, and check those out. There's something hopefully for everyone. Lots of cool free examples and stuff that you can take and change to your own needs, open source engines and so on. And we have a lot of supporters on there on our paid tiers, so I'm going to sign off with a big thank you to them. We do this every month. Here's the Patreon subscribers list, and just before that, just say our next stream is on the 20th of March, with the third Friday of every month, and it's 7 p.m. GMT. And don't forget also to come back and check previous recordings, previous streams under our live section on YouTube, for example, and also make sure you subscribe for notifications. Pablo is doing lots of game playthroughs and some developer interviews in there as well. So lots of cool stuff happening on the streaming team. Hope to see you in our Discord. If you look in the chat, the link's a little way up. Hopefully Kizguri will repost that. If not, I will. And without further ado, thank you very much for joining. Sorry I got a bit stuck there. And here is a thank you to our Patreons. Nope, that is the wrong button. It's all going well. Here we go.